From their match descending into chaos to the aftermath of it turning into a family feud, this is how John Gotti was suspended over the Floyd Mayweather brawl. All hell broke loose as soon as the bout was stopped, which was a little weird if you think about it. 'Cause it wasn't even a professional fight. It was supposed to be an exhibition boxing match, but I guess someone forgot to tell Gotti that. Mayweather got the better of him for all 6 rounds, but the pair just couldn't stop trash talking while they were in the ring. It was a rough night for the ref, Kenny Bayless as well, because he was having a hard time separating both of these guys. In the 6th round, the ref had enough of the needless clinching and bad-mouthing, and he stepped in between the pair to wave off the fight. But Gotti wasn't having any of it, so he started to dip around Bayless and come after Floyd before he started throwing wild haymakers towards the boxing legend. The Florida crowd went crazy as the teams of both the fighters stepped into the octagon and pushed both John and Mayweather towards their respective corners. Money's team looked a little rowdier as they even tried going after Gotti's head, but thankfully, there were enough people between them to stop anything from escalating even further. Then it looked as if their teams were gonna throw it down as well. Both Mayweather and Gotti were out of the ring, but their teams kept going at it for a bit. John's party then realized that they were clearly outnumbered 7,000 to 20. That's how many people the money had behind him. I mean, it was pretty clear with the whole entourage that Floyd brought with him during his walkout, because it even caused a traffic jam outside the arena. Ultimately, no one got hurt, which was a relief as well as a surprise, because of the sheer number of dudes involved in the brawl. There was absolutely nothing on stake here, because Floyd hasn't fought professionally since 2017, and for Gotti, it was only his 3rd ever boxing match. Anyway, the fight was declared a disqualification for John by the ref because he'd been warning him multiple times throughout the match, but his ego got the better of him. The result wouldn't have been any different if the bout was even allowed to play out though, because Money was doing whatever he wanted to in the ring, and John had next to no answers. From the get-go, Floyd was landing his jabs almost at will. Gotti threw his first punch after getting hit about 25 times, and Mayweather was cheekily smiling at his opponents. The next round was more of the same, but the crowd started chanting Gotti's name, which gave him some much-needed confidence. Even then, he couldn't find his mark and was clearly confused as Floyd just seemed to avoid anything John threw at him. On top of that, Mayweather started teasing Gotti. He stuck his tongue out after dodging a couple of punches and started chanting Gotti's name himself. John was obviously frustrated by this, and Money wasn't even sweating. Gotti then started talking trash, but even there Floyd responded in kind, while he was punching him in the face. John started to really clinch up in the 5th round, and when the ref was trying to separate them, Mayweather told Bayless that he was going to keep this up, which spurred Gotti on even more. The ref officially warned both of them to stop talking and focus on fighting, but when they didn't listen in the 6th round, Bayless was forced to stop the fight. The audience in attendance didn't initially understand what had happened. Even the pros reacted to the post-fight brawl. Claressa Shields, the undisputed female middleweight champ, was ringside for the match, and she posted a clip on Twitter as the chaos ensued. She could be heard shouting over and over again as she couldn't believe what had happened. After the fight, Claressa said that she'd never seen anything like that before. Floyd schooled Gotti in the ring and his people just couldn't handle it. Even the UFC light heavyweight champ Jamahal Hill spoke up on the weird end to an exhibition match also. Another UFC fighter, Michael Chiesa, weighed in on the action and said that things could have really gotten ugly in the ring. He highlighted that it was just an exhibition match and predicted that this new feud is likely to get worse in the future. This kind of stuff was unnecessary if you ask me, and it's just unacceptable in a sport. So Gotti will have to pay the price for losing his cool against Mayweather. After a few days of deliberation, the Florida State Athletic Commission announced that John Gotti's been banned from fighting in the state for 6 months. That means that he can still fight at other venues, but Florida is out of the equation completely. And that's true for any rematches that he might have been planning with Floyd in Miami. I know, guys, it's nothing more than a slap on the wrist for John, but that's really all that the commission could do. Banning him from fighting in the entire US is something that the commission can't do, because the other states aren't in their jurisdiction. But Mayweather needs to be careful, because Gotti's declared him an enemy for life. John also added to his Instagram story, claiming that Floyd never knocked him out cold or stopped him in any way, but the ref disqualified him for no reason. Gotti decided to tag Conor McGregor, asking him for backup against the best ever. That was a little out of the blue, to be honest, but the UFC's poster boy does have a little bit of beef to settle with Mayweather, cause he lost his one and only boxing match against Money back in 2017. Anyway, the Irish superstar decided to back the goddess on this one and declared that the war is on from his Twitter handle. But if you guys know Conor and his shenanigans, then you might have already guessed that he deleted that tweet almost immediately afterward. McGregor said that he doesn't get why Floyd is fighting these exhibition matches that mean nothing. The Notorious One is just one of the guys who got dragged into this whole mess. But he wasn't the only UFC guy who mixed up in this, cause even Joe Rogan got involved. He pointed out in an episode of The Joe Rogan Experience that Floyd at 46 was still piecing up Gotti.
So Floyd is just piecing him up. So Floyd, even at 46, he's the greatest of all time. And this kid is really an MMA fighter.
Rogan did add that John was a tough guy, and he even managed to catch Mayweather out with a couple of small shots. But for most of the match, he was just getting boxed up by the greatest boxer of all time.
He's a tough guy. He caught Floyd a couple times, some little shots, but mostly he's just getting boxed up, right?
Joe also spoke on all the clinching that Gotti was doing, and said that the problem was that he wasn't letting go. It would have been perfectly fine if it was an MMA match, but things aren't the same in boxing. Rogan understood that John was trying to protect himself, but this remark wasn't missed by the grandson of the Gambino crime family. Gotti addressed Joe directly, telling him that both of them were warned for cursing, and that he only clinched twice in the whole match. Compared to Logan Paul, who clinched 5 million times, that was nothing, and he shouldn't have been disqualified for something like that. John clarified that he has nothing against the UFC's veteran commentator and still has a lot of respect for the guy. Gotti then called for a rematch against the best ever and told him to leave his team behind. He even suggested New York as the venue and told Floyd that next time he's gonna bring heavy hitters and he'll be fighting Mayweather like a dog. It was one thing if it stayed between these two, but it turned into a blood feud between families. Nicolette Gotti, John's sister, joined in the fight. She called out Floyd on Instagram, saying that his daughter had 12 different mamas like a circus animal. She didn't stop there, cause Nicolette swore on her kids that she was gonna come after Mayweather's daughter. She added that it doesn't matter how many years go by, but she's gonna get his daughter for sure. That's a little extreme. I can't say if Nicolette's actually gonna do something crazy or not, but she surely would have the links to the underworld to pull it off. Strangely, Floyd hasn't spoken up about any of it, and there are rumors that this was just a staged brawl to make the fight more relevant than it was supposed to be. So, from the aftermath turning into a family feud to their match descending into chaos, that was how John Gotti got suspended over the Floyd Mayweather brawl.